Wonderful. So for today's session, I am hoping to share a new or maybe a familiar practice or resource with you called Book Creator. Book Creator is a wonderful tool that our district has invested in for all teachers to be able to have premium access to. And there were some really wonderful tools that I thought would be suitable for ELD classrooms within it. And then I thought, oftentimes ELD teachers are tasked with evidence collection. And so I thought I would share some available resources that I think would be very helpful for you. You may use these resources for your one piece of required annotated evidence for each student, or you might just use them to assess speaking and listening and reading and writing in your classroom to gather information about where your students are at. So we can chat about that. And then I kind of timelined some of the upcoming assessment deadlines that are coming up throughout from now till about January, just so that you can kind of have some foresight as to what is coming your way and what we are looking for when we're talking about student data and information. So let's jump right into Book Creator. And so you'll notice anything blue on the slide deck is linked for you to have easy access to. I've linked an introduction video, a one-pager instruction, as well as um, how to assign book templates to students. Book Creator is a digital tool that allows students to create interactive ebooks with text, images, audio, and video embedded into it. And so, like I mentioned, every CSSD Learn account has a premium subscription to Book Creator. So there is nothing within the Book Creator website that you can't do with your Learn account. And so I wanted to share this with you because I thought it would be a great way for you to have students create and author their own books. And some of them you might want to offer them a template like the visual on the slide. That's a template for a vocabulary book. There's journal templates, there's word scramble templates, dictionary templates. And so the type of book that students can create, there's endless opportunities for students to be discovering what they'd like to do with it. Students can record themselves reading a book or a specific word, and then you can listen back, or you can have students listen to each other's recordings. So it does give you a piece of that speaking or reading evidence as well, because you are able to listen to students' either response to a video or a book, or you can hear them reading a book. What's beautiful about it is that you can author your own library with students because you can create a library or a class with students' books. Some of my favorite features when I was looking through Book Creator was that you can real-time collaborate similar to that of a Google Doc. So students can be working on the same book, the same template, the same journal at the same time, and can work together on the same task. There were hundreds of pre-made templates. So students would never get bored or redo the same assignment. There are so many amazing templates, and I will share some of my favorites with you in a few slides. I love the read to me feature because students could be have the book read to them. And what's great about that is that the book could be written in English, but could be read to the student in Spanish or in Japanese or in Tigrinya. It does use Google Translate, so Tigrinya is available. Um, and so you can also translate your transcriptions. And so students can voice record or video record, and it will post in transcriptions, which will also be translated. And so when you go into edit mode, I wanted to highlight a few of the features that would be helpful for you to highlight for students. So I made these slides hoping that you would be able to actually just take some of these slides and share them with your students so that they know how to work the tools within edit mode as well. And so if you take a look over in the right-hand or left hand, yeah, right hand corner, you're going to see that the little plus button there will open up the opportunity for students to embed an image onto a page. They could embed a video or a picture. They could write on a page using a pen. They could write on a page using text, so they would type, or they could record an audio recording embedded into a page. And so you'll see that I chose this book template, which is a magazine, but within that magazine, there are many different page templates that you could choose. One with images, one with less images, more images. And this would be a really great way for students to be able to create some sort of infographic or something on content, but embedded visuals automatically. And so I wanted to highlight the translating features because they were a little bit more difficult to find. And so what I did is I just clicked onto the page that I was working on, very similar as you would in Canva. And so I clicked in and I went to edit the typing that was put in there. So I was going to go write about the camel journey. And I clicked the translate button, and then many languages were offered to me. And so once you click a language, it will translate that text for you. If you'd like to translate audio, you can click the audio button. So you would embed an audio feature. You'll get an audio button put into your slide deck or your page, and then you can click translate, and the same language options will appear. What it looks like when you have a video transcript with it translated subtitles. And so this was just me playing with it the other day, but I recorded a video, and the video was just explaining that you can turn on the captions. And then I tried to translate those captions. So you can see I was speaking in English, but the students would be able to read what I was saying in their home language. And so students would be able to access this on their own. So I think it's a great way to start an assignment out is by giving a little video recording with instructions and then having students translate that, or you can translate that, and then students would be able to move through the book and add in whatever you need them to do for your assignment. If you're in read mode, you'll be able to see in the top right-hand corner, there is the option to have the book read to you. And there's also the option to share the book. There's the option to make it full screen. And there's the option to see multiple pages of the book in a tile style view as well. When you go to read to me, you can change the language there as well. A great way to do, or a great way to start Book Creator is to start exploring other teachers' libraries that have been created. And so you can go into the Discover feature of Book Creator, and you can explore other teachers' libraries that have been made public. And so if a teacher has done a writing assignment or a book assignment on nonfiction texts and their students have written these texts, students can read these other students' texts and they can have them read to them in different languages so that it is an inclusive environment for your English language learners as well. I wanted to highlight some of my favorite templates that you could use in ELD. And so I just wanted to make sure that I put a big arrow and highlighted this remix box. So for you to remix a template, that means that you're going to create an editable copy in your library that you can then share with students. And so back to the very first slide of Book Creator, I did put a guide on how to share that assignment with students so that each student in your class gets an individual copy of the template that they can edit. But it's important to push that remix button so that each student will get a copy of it. I'm going to click into some of these links just to show you, but one of my favorite ones that taught me all the tips and tricks of how to use Book Creator was the Try It Yourself guide. This was designed for teachers, for you to play with the tools that are within Book Creator. And so this is how I learned all these tips and tricks. It's kind of just a digital book that is designed to kind of prompt you to use a variety of tools within the Book Creator app. And then if you have some newcomer students, there's an All About Me journal or a learner profile. And so when you click into it, it'll say you can read it now. And you'll see that it gives you some information on it, but then it goes quickly into students embedding their own images into the book or writing so that they can share with them. This was designed for newcomer students, so it does recognize that students speak multiple languages and that they may have a different journey than other students. So you can see here on this page, it asks the students to insert their name, tell what languages that they speak, and what places they've lived in. And then here there's a spot for some media where the student might want to insert a picture of themselves or a video. It goes into having students describe themselves, and you can see that if you push these speaker audio icons, the words will be read to them. And so it's sort of like a get to know you workbook. I included a travel guide because I thought that might be a great addition to some of your units. I know leading up to Christmas holidays, I used to do a Christmas Around the World unit that I will share with you guys very soon in the coming weeks. It might be nice to have students create a travel guide based on that Christmas Around the World unit. You could prompt students to explore Christmas in a different country than their own or share about their own country. Um, a great tool within this book creator are the vocabulary notebooks. And so it did embed some Division 2 and Division 3 ones for you to share with your the students' homeroom teachers as well. But you can see that the newcomer vocabulary book is really great because it has images embedded and some of the vocabulary that students would need to be successful or survive into a school environment. But then when you go into the Division 2 notebook, it has some really great templates that you could put subject-specific or academic vocabulary into, and then the students could work on that. It has lots of morphology templates available. And so I just highlighted the prefix and suffix template. It's really wonderful because you can have students highlight or find the prefixes and suffixes kind of as a conclusion to maybe a lesson on it. But there's so many more available. I thought this Wisdom from Around the World was a very beautiful book that was created by a different class as well. And so when I share out this slide deck with you, my hope is that you can explore one of these options with your ELD class. If you do, I would be so happy to come out and do it with you or team teach this with you. Two hands is always better than one when you have students that are new to technology or this type of learning environment. So I'm more than happy to come on out. Just give me an email. I'm going to move on from that section, but if there's anybody that has questions, or I'm happy to answer them before we move on to evidence collection. You can unmute or raise your hand. Oh, amazing. Thanks, Trish. I'm so happy to see that you've used it with junior high too. I think sometimes people think of it as a very elementary tool, but I was sharing it with high school teachers today, I have to say. Heather? Heather?
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Can Book Creator be printed? Because I used this with my language arts class for grade 8 last year, and they created fables, and we wanted to actually print some of them to give them so that they could read them to younger students. Just a question.
I think you can. So you can go, this is the link that the student hasn't worked in right now, but
Okay.
if you just go to like the share icon there, and then print is an option. Now, once a student has typed into it, I don't know if it'll look exactly the same. I'll have to explore that once I do it with some students. But for now, you can go to the share icon and then go print.
So if we wanted to print some of these as well for our students so that they could have them,
Yeah.
kind of like a placemat that they could do as well, like
Yeah.
a placemat activity they could. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
they
Thank
print
you.
beautifully actually. So there you go. That's awesome. What a
Great.
great question. Okay, I'm going to move on to evidence collection, and then I'm always happy to answer your questions afterwards as well. Um, Many of you are on your DL team, so you may have seen this collecting evidence website that our EAL team has worked very, very hard on. But if you haven't, I'm excited to share it with you. If you have been using this website already, on the post-it note, if you just click the where it says here, we would really appreciate your feedback on this website. So we have been working on it very hard this year, and we hope to really grow and expand the resources that are available on it. So we'd love for you to tell us what you'd like to see more of and what you'd like to see less of. And it's a really quick, like 5-minute Google form. The website is linked to this slide as well. And so a reminder that each student that has a benchmark, we need one piece of annotated evidence uploaded to EdForms prior to January 31st. And so on the chart, on the slide deck, you'll see that I've put a pink box over kind of where we live as ELD teachers. So we're between grade 4 to 9, and our students are level 1 and 2 students. And so our recommendation is to collect a piece of speaking evidence. But you can collect a piece of writing evidence if you have some of those level 2 students that are moving towards moving out of your ELD class. So this isn't a hard and fast rule. It's more just a recommendation from our team. Our goal was to provide you with a support that will help you collect and annotate a piece of evidence. As I mentioned before, not only is annotating for the requirement of the benchmarks, I, as an ELD teacher, found that was the best way that I could assess students, for me to get a really deep look at the benchmark outcomes and whether the student was achieving all of the benchmark outcomes or they were just achieving part of it. In addition to that, we know that our students move from ELD classrooms into EAL class or ELA classrooms. And so students need to have an understanding or some of the skills that would are being assessed in an EAL classroom. So we have embedded the narrative writing rubrics into this considerations page here so that you as a teacher can look at the benchmarks, annotate the piece of writing, but then also compare it to the curricular outcomes for that grade level, so that you can kind of have an understanding of like where students are moving towards. Maybe they've completed the benchmark outcomes for levels 1 and 2 in writing, and now they're moving towards that curricular outcome piece and can kind of be moved out of your ELD classroom. And so when you're on the website, you can click into the speaking evidence, and you'll see a variety of options from elementary to junior high. Each prompt includes a slide with an image so that if you wanted to display it on a projector or a loft or anything that you have. It also has a document with the benchmarks and the questions that you would ask of each student at their EAL level. And the prompts are separated according to benchmark grades. So K to 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 9. The speaking prompts look similar to this. This is the first page that you'll find, which is just a copy of the benchmarks with checkboxes. This page will be used to check off that the competencies that the student is showing in their conversation. So you'll see that if a student is speaking to you, you're writing down what the student is saying. You're able to check off that they were able to share with you some everyday words. Page 2 are the guiding questions. And so we also included a space below where you can share the student responses and you can record those. That is the annotation. So on a written annotation, the student's output is is what you are annotating. But in this scenario, what the student is saying to you and you writing it down is that annotation piece, kind of. So this page will be used to guide your conversation. And for example, if my student was a level 1 student, I would start with the level 1 questions. If I can move forward to the level 2 questions, then that's great. The competency that each question is targeting is listed in a color. So in this case, the yellow writing is the competency that the student or the question is targeting. Of course, you can alter some of the questions to best suit the scenario, some of the background knowledge. We want this to kind of feel like an authentic conversation more so than an interview. So there will be some professional judgment that you would want to include there. Page 3 is the image, and we did that so that when you print it and you upload it to EdForms, page 1 and 2 are what you're uploading, and page 3 is the third page there. Also, when you could have it separate and have it in front of the students so that they can you can point to it on the table. And this is what it would look like. So here I was assessing a student, and they were currently a level 3. So you can see I highlighted the area where I would start asking the questions. So I wanted to start asking some of the level 2 questions and then move towards level 3. And you can see below that I annotated the students' responses. I wrote them out. And at the very bottom in yellow, I put what level the student was able to achieve and what their current and working level would be. Another really great tool that you might want to use or access are called WeSee cards. And so WeSee cards are in every single school because every kindergarten teacher should have a copy. And so if you are having trouble accessing them, just let me know because we do have a few spare copies at IMC that we can sign out for you. What's beautiful about WeSee cards is that they are real images, and so they don't feel developmentally inappropriate for, say, a grade 7, 8, or 9 student. They are natural images, and so with that, little background knowledge is really needed to access these cards. And each box comes with 200 cards. So the possibilities are really endless. It also comes with a book of about 50 different activities that you could do with the cards. With that, though, you might want to start by just kind of connecting some of the WeSee cards to concepts that you've already been covering in your classroom. So say that you've been looking at a weather unit or you've been looking at colors. What you could do is you could kind of take that idea, pick a few cards, and then you could start with the whole class. You could be playing some games with them. You could be playing I Spy, Spot the Difference, Would You Rather. The booklet also has many other ideas with them. And you could do it under a document camera or just snap an image with them. And so from there, you can kind of focus. You can use any of the speaking evidence collection questions and start asking questions to your class to get them familiar with the idea. And that way, when you do a one-on-one assessment with the WeSee cards using the speaking evidence questions as they're universal, you students would be familiar with the process. And so important to mention is that the speaking questions are universal and could be used with almost any type of picture prompt. I'll pause again if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them, or I can just move forward to our last section here. Awesome. So upcoming assessment, and some of it is more applicable to some teachers than others, but once again, I said your evidence collection is due before January 31st. And for our ELD satellite, if you have students in ELD satellite, it is the homeschool's responsibility to do that evidence collection. And so if you need any support with that, please reach out to the EAL team or your school's EAL consultant. With that, though, comes our first benchmark update. So in and around January, so that means before the Christmas season or shortly after the Christmas season, you're going to use the information that you've gathered from the evidence collection to inform your first benchmark update. And what I mean by that is if you've collected a written piece of annotation or a written piece of writing and you have annotated that piece of writing, then you would update the writing strand of the benchmarks. And one other complementary strand. So In my mind, I always paired reading and writing, or you could pair speaking and writing as they're both expressive skills. So what needs to happen is that 2 benchmark strands are updated in and around January time, and one is informed by the evidence collection process. If you're teaching ELD in grades 7 to 9 and you're using the locally developed course, students will receive a progress report achievement mark and a comment on their progress reports. I have progress report stems coming out for you guys very soon, so I will try to get those out to you teachers very soon. And then after that, our grade 9 high school transition meetings will be happening January 22nd. And these are very important conversations to be had. Every grade 9 EAL student who will be accessing some form of ESL sheltered instruction course in high school will be discussed. And so as ELD teachers, you really do play a huge role in that in student success in grade 9, and you carry so much important information. So as much as possible, I would encourage you to advocate to be able to attend that meeting. They are often held at the reception center during the school day, but can also be held over Teams if that's easier for you so that you don't have to leave your building. Generally, the DLCT will attend, the high school DLCT, and as well as school counselor. More information will be coming out about that in and around December, though. So if you haven't heard of it yet, don't worry, you haven't missed the mark on it. More information will be coming out soon. I'm very sure that your DLCTs or yourselves have began the GATES assessment for all of your grade 9 EAL students, which will help inform those conversations. And then as well, the evidence collection that you do for your grade 9 students will also inform those conversations to help us pick appropriate courses for students in high school. December 11th is our next DAL session. You're more than welcome to join here. I just linked the registration for you. We try to keep those sessions to about half an hour after school. And so that session will be all about strategies for teaching within the content classroom. And of course, I'm going to put one last plug in for our ELD Collaborative Padlet. I would be so happy if you could share an image or a video or a piece of sample of a student's work with us on our ELD Collaborative site. And I will continue to share on there as well. I see you guys all do such beautiful work, and I really think that when we see what each other are doing and what we're all doing in each other's classrooms, it affirms that our practice. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm going to stop the recording, and if you guys have any other questions, I'm more than happy to stick around for a bit and just chat with you guys.